Yo, 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 what is going on, CoD Familia? It is your boy BN, aka Mr. Kingdom Builder, and in today's video, we're going to be going over the latest Call of Dragons Q&A number 10 that just dropped about 2 hours ago from an in-game system mail. Already probably going to be interesting because they're addressing some cheating type stuff that's going on here, so as always, if you enjoy the content, make sure you throw us up because it helps out a lot. Okie dokie, artichokes, let's get in right to it. Number 1, we don't care about the beginning stuff. Some players have been using plugins to gain an unfair advantage. Will you be improving anti-cheat measures and implementing more long-term bans? Interesting. So do we take the question as a confirmation that it's been happening because they selected this question particularly to answer it? Firstly, we would like to take this opportunity to reiterate our zero-tolerance policy towards cheating. Any reports of cheating we receive are immediately investigated, and we are working hard to optimize our anti-cheat systems. At the moment, we are examining the relevant data to confirm the names of players suspected of using plugins. Players who are found to have violated game rules will be subject to bans of 1, 3, 7, 30, or 360 days. We appreciate your patience while this process is carried out, and we call on all players to join us in ensuring a safe and fair gaming environment. Thank you for your understanding and support. Okay, so is the fact that they selected this question indicative of that there are people who are using plugins, third-party software, and then, to what extent can those tools be utilized? I mean, it seems that is the case, but how many are doing it? Who's doing it, right? That has been such a huge topic of speculation over what at least it appears to be the past month or two, where this has really been gaining a lot more traction, especially on the CoD Discord. Okay, question number 2. But is it nice to see them addressing it and saying, hey, we're going to be, we acknowledge this is a thing, and we're going to be working on measures that we can take and put in place, if not bulk up, to address? Yeah, that's nice to hear. Can you change the Alliance membership limits to make membership numbers more stable? We understand that what does that even mean? Just be specific in your questions here. We understand that some players would like Home Realm Alliance membership limits to be increased, as they do enjoy numerous Alliance membership bonuses. That's 1. During KVK that are lost upon returning to their home realm. In response to this, we are planning to make changes to Home Realm Alliance membership limit bonuses in update 1.0.30, but not the upcoming update 1.0.29. These changes will include decreasing the number of Alliance towers needed to increase your membership limit and increasing the membership bonuses received by occupying Behemoth layers. As a result, the maximum Alliance membership limit available in S1 will be retained in future seasons. We hope these changes will make Alliance membership numbers more stable. Okay, I do think this is a win, right? And I say that because the fact that you have to go up and down when you're going into the KVK and you're getting out of the KVK and going back to Home Kingdom, it is nice to where those numbers can be consistent, to where you do not have to worry about, if someone leaves, it's going to be hard for them to get back in. Maybe they'll have to wait until you get to the next KVK. It's just, you don't want any unnecessary small results or actions that can be done, whether on purpose or accidental, that can impact just member morale and general stability for just doing those things for no reason. And in my opinion, I think it's a lot easier just to make things consistent from what you're going to have. So if the max player cap, let's just say, is going to be 200, then just have it be 200 in Home Kingdom and have it be 200 in KVK per the Alliance. Now, as far as the topic of, do we need to increase member capacity per each Alliance? I'm a little bit more on the fence with that, and I lean a little bit more in favor, actually, of leaving it at 200. Personally, I would almost like to actually see it go down a little bit, but I definitely do not want to see it increase. And I say this because of, again, 2 major things that have been happening in the shift for CoD since the beginning, post-beta, which is, in the beginning, CoD was very much focusing on being more of an Alliance-focused game, and they had even came out and said this once or twice from the developers themselves in videos. Now, the shift is happening where you see things like warbands, you have the Home Kingdom, you also have more of a kingdom focus approach that is happening, where they really want to try, like if you want to utilize your warband perks and benefits, you need to have 4 active alliances, right? Really 4 active and healthy alliances up to that amount in your kingdom in order to maximize that warband. Now, you could have more, and then you would just have 2 warbands in that case, but this is something that I think is really important to recognize. And if you want to have, if you don't want this, like, we're just going to funnel everyone to the top 1%, and then you're basically going to reach your server cap that way, or very likely to if you do that over a period of time, it's going to limit the amount of total active and healthy alliances that you can have in a kingdom. And again, people can play however they want. It's up to them. But I very much am in favor, because I think when you have more of a balanced approach for power, it very much incentivizes and re-engages people and really motivates them to say, oh, well, my alliance can compete with this other alliance in our kingdom, and we feel just as valued. We feel that we can contribute just as much. We are just as appreciated, right? It's not like we're having one alliance with this priority and this alliance lower, or this is the A team, B team, or first string, second string, third string. And this very much can happen in a number of kingdoms. So I just am very much of the belief that when you spread out balance and activity, it has a lot more pros than it does cons. Okay, let's go and look at number 3. If this is the next one here, which is, will you reduce the duration of the pre-war period in home realms before entering Season of Strife so that we can enter the new season more quickly? Thank you for your suggestion. We understand that players are excited to enter the new season as soon as possible. In order to quicken the pace of the game, we will be reducing the duration of the pre-war period as much as possible, since some seasons require players to wait until enough servers are available to begin matchmaking. The exact duration of this period may vary. We will continue to gather opinions and make our final decision based on your feedback. So, what I will say is this. I love what they have done thus far when we're talking about kingdom pools, KVK pools. So we talked about this. There was 119 kingdoms that went into the first Season of Strife storyline. That is great. You want a lot of kingdoms to go into the pool, because this allows for a higher percentage chance of getting more balanced, or the opportunity to have more balanced KVKs along with matchmaking that can happen, and also giving more of a wide opportunity for those who can ally with each other to try and get the most balanced and fair KVK matchups, depending on who's going to work with who via diplomacy, right? Or at least have that opportunity there. When you have a lower kingdom pool, it doesn't give you as much flexibility in being able to have more favorable matchups. And so then you look at the most recent group, which I think we're at 147 kingdoms that are in this latest Season of Strife storyline, where they just went in. I think they've been in there for about a week or so now. And so if you're thinking about how long the pre-war stage takes, now, yeah, could you say the pre-war period could be reduced a little bit, but at the same time, do you still need for as many kingdoms as possible to get into a group? And if you might need to wait a couple days for, let's say, to get 10 to 20 more kingdoms into your pool, personally, I think that's very much worth it when you're thinking about the potential to have a better, more active, more PvP friendly, and longer sustainable season, because you're getting a lot more action out of it, even if you have to wait a little bit longer just so you get more kingdoms in there, to allow for more flexibility on what the matchups could be for your KVK pairing. That, I think, is worth it beyond all means. Now, if we're talking you got to wait a month, okay, now we can maybe start getting into a little bit of like iffy territory. But if it's waiting a little bit of time just so you have a higher percentage chance of getting a better matchup, which is also going to improve health and morale for the player base going into that KVK and for your kingdom and alliance of players, to me, it's a no-brainer. So I do like, though, how they're talking about certain stages, like, you know, can Bring of Vortis be a day for each thing? Okay, yeah. You know, and if you're looking to try to trim some days off in that kind of end of season timeline, that pre-war stage for some of those areas, yeah, some of those things I think can be trimmed once you get enough kingdoms in the pool. And for me, I think that's the most important thing, right? Is there just has to be enough kingdoms in the pool to where you have a high chance of getting really good favorable matchups. Next question. The 30-to-1 ratio exchange ratio for legendary hero tokens is too high. Will you reduce it? Okay. We understand that the current user interface or UI of the Legendary Hero Token Store may have led to misunderstandings. Each Legendary Hero Token can in fact be exchanged for 100 Hero Coins, resulting in an exchange ratio of 4-to-1. This display issue was the result of a design oversight that we are planning to fix in update 1.0.30. So that's going to be the second update from now, allowing for information to be more accurately displayed. Thank you for your patience and support, and please watch out for future updates. So that's nice that they gave a clarification. I guess it kind of sucks that it's going to take that long. Like, you can't like hot fix that, but maybe that's not necessarily to them. They're thinking, oh, that's not a major game breaking or game, faulting thing that's really affecting people in a very hard way. Visually speaking, it is. But if that's what they're saying the actual ratio is, then okay, it's nice that they clarified that. Would have maybe been nice to hear that a little bit earlier. Now, maybe they did if they put it in the notice board or somewhere else and maybe we missed it, but it is nice to at least hear the answer and what it actually is. Next question, the chance of receiving artifacts from Forge of Light is too low. Will you be reverting it to its original value? We would like to assure you that we have never made any unannounced reductions to in-game probabilities. We believe this perception of a reduction in probabilities stems from the fact that the chance of receiving your selected artifact is now displayed as 0.6% when previously the boosted probability of receiving both artifacts was displayed at 0.9%. We'd like to take a moment to explain these figures. When the probability of receiving both artifacts is boosted, the probability of receiving one artifact on its own is 0.45%. That is 0.9% divided by 2. And the probability of receiving one selected artifact is 0.6%, which is a notably higher chance. However, we will admit that a lack of clarity in explaining these probabilities have led to misunderstandings. We plan to make changes to the display in the next UI update in order to ensure that information regarding probabilities is clear and easy to understand. Okay. I mean, yeah, that would have been nice if it was done initially, of course, because again, I think it's very clear that if things are not explained in a, let's just say, simplified way for us Homo sapiens, it can lead to misunderstandings as they clarified. So yeah, now, again, I don't sit here and pull things from artifacts all day long or buy resources or other materials in order to do extra pulls or gems, etc. However, I will probably allow for someone else to maybe explain that a little bit more in depth, so I'll just wait to maybe read something there in the comments. But will I say that it's at least nice that they're acknowledging this and also giving you a little bit more of a before and after breakdown, which are things that we've asked for many and multiple times when it comes to patch notes or any adjustments or changes that are going to be made? That's nice. I think it's a nice way just to apply a little bit more transparency. Will you be rolling out to auto-peacekeeping across all servers? During the previous testing phase, we discovered a number of issues that we are currently working hard to fix. We have not made a decision regarding the rollout date or method, but as soon as the necessary changes have been made, we will roll out this feature as soon as possible. Please keep an eye out for future announcements. Okay. Something I really would have liked for them to say here is these are some of the challenges we found from testing it in this kingdom, and we want to work on making those corrections in these said areas before we roll it out to everyone. That would have been nice. Even if they just said like 2 or 3 things that they noticed, that would have been great. So a little bit of a miss here. I'm a bit sad. Will you make it possible for all Warband members to take part in Ancestor statue activities rather than linking them to Behemoth Lair occupation? I like this. Actually, could be a nice one. We are planning to make changes to relevant rules in order to allow more Warband members to take part in Ancestor statue activities. Warband members will be able to move through through ally occupied passes without having to occupy Behemoth Lairs. We will let you know more as soon as we have rollout date for the plan changes. This is massive. This is nice. I very much like this because it is going to allow now for more players that can be active and they can contribute, but maybe they're just not strong enough. Or maybe there's just not enough Behemoth Lairs, right? Because maybe you have a very active, overpopulated, or we should just say incredibly populated kingdom. Or maybe there's alliances that just aren't strong enough to capture them on their own. And so, but they still want to be able to participate, but they can't join other alliances because those are full. Any number of a couple reasons here, I actually do think this is a nice change, at least to see how it plays out. And then again, if it just ends up being not a great idea, right, it can always make changes. But I do very much like giving more flexibility to a kingdom and almost treating the kingdom as a kingdom and not looking at it as an alliance first, but more of a kingdom of alliances and kingdom of players. So I think this change is very pro-kingdom. Will you introduce a minimum guarantee system for obtaining war pets with the maximum number of skill slots available? Yeah, we've received a number of suggestions regarding war pet regeneration guarantees, and we believe that this is an avenue worth exploring. Making this change would increase the chance of satisfactory outcomes from war pet regeneration. We will continue to investigate a number of possible solutions while ensuring that this change does not affect in-game balance. Please look out for future announcements. Okay, so I mean, it's nice that they said that, because if they say it's worth exploring and diving into, it must mean that the feedback that they're providing is worthy of the attention to make a consideration on a change of actually being able to have minimum guarantees for being able to have maximum number of skill slots available. I mean, my thing is this. Being able to capture pets and the fact that they do not already have the maximum skill slot levels of available is weird to me, because when I think about something like Pokemon, right, and you're capturing and you're leveling them up and they get new skills that they can learn or swapping out current skills, you always get to a point just through basic leveling of getting to a max number of skill usage or skills available to be used, right? I think it was like 4 per. And so, yeah, I mean, it's just, I guess it sucks that it wasn't that way in the beginning, if that's right, at least from what I recall. And so I do like this suggestion. I do think it makes sense. And we'd love to hear from you guys on that too as well. Yay or nay? Will you add a countdown timer feature to alliance markers? Ooh, I like that. We've received a number of suggestions from players indicating the desire for some kind of alliance marker reminder feature. As a result, we are planning to add a brand new feature, the alliance calendar. Oh, hallelujah. Okay, so this is something I've mentioned. A number of people have mentioned too as well. You've often heard me talk about this whenever I have mentioned it, as I refer to Infinity Kingdom, because they had an alliance calendar system where you could have the date and time, you would have a time reminder, you could have a note on that appointment marker or that note on the calendar, and then you could also put coordinates in for where people can go to, so they could open the alliance calendar, look at what's happening for the week or what's happening for the month. And then if you needed to go and look at something, you click on it. Okay, here's the appointment time for that calendar, we'll just say activity. And then you could open it up, read it, see what the reminder is on it, right? You see the day and time, and then you can click on the cord and go there. However, do I like this idea of almost having like a real-time countdown that shows above the marker? So maybe it counts down from like 30 minutes or something like that. That would be dope sauce, right? I am a fan of that. It would almost even be cool if you could toggle those on and off on your interface, so it would show up at like the top middle or top middle right of your screen or somewhere. So yeah, I'm a fan of this. I love the fact that they're adding an alliance calendar too as well. I think that is going to help so many people in the game stay organized, players to stay up to date. So this way they don't always have to kind of go off of reading mails, but they can kind of use mails as like, hey, here's the intro, but I go to the calendar and I see everything there. Hopefully it's a monthly calendar as well and not just a weekly calendar. Let's go. So the alliance, and actually what would be dope is if they allowed for you to like do a calendar throughout the year. So maybe the calendar allows for you to like do things like 6 months in advance or something like that. And so like each day it just opens up a new day or something, or like the first of each month opens up a new month or something. That would be cool. So the Alliance calendar will allow players to add reminders for upcoming Alliance activities in advance. It will also be linked to the Alliance marker system. Love it, allowing players to enable notifications and receive reminders before activities begin. We hope these changes will help players to more efficiently manage their Alliance's activities and tasks. Please stay tuned for future announcements. I absolutely love this. I also like how they mentioned it, help players to efficiently manage their Alliance's activities and tasks, understanding that there is a huge management aspect to this game, and the management aspect very much determines the average player's or factors into the average player's day-to-day enjoyment, and you could even just say morale, how they feel about it. And so I very much like this. Okay, next one, last one, I guess. Elkriders are too weak with short range, weak attacks, and poor skills compared to other factions. Will you change them to melee units to match other factions? We received a lot of feedback regarding Elkriders, and we'll be making improvements to them as a result. Our goal is to make sure that all units have their uses on the battlefield while retaining balance between factions. We are currently evaluating the possibility of changing Elkriders to melee units, and this impact could potentially have on game mounts. We will let you know more as soon as we have a clear path. I mean, to be honest, really what I think is Elkriders are just kind of like the redheaded stepchild right now of Call of Dragons units. They're the only ranged cav unit, so you either have one of two options. You either remove the range and make it a melee unit so it aligns with the other two factions, and this way you have consistent units across the board that have the same ranges, or you add a melee unit to Elkriders, and then you add 2 other ranged cav units to the other two factions, Wilderburg and League of Order. So, personally, I think it makes more sense at this point to change Elkriders and have them be melee so it aligns with the other two factions. Do I like the idea of them testing different types of units like that? Sure, totally fine with that. However, I very much would like for them to test things with each faction, right? So if you want to try and introduce maybe you want to test out a special unit, right? And maybe that special unit will last a season or something like that, right? Or maybe it'll last 6 months. So maybe a number of kingdoms can try it. Or maybe it's a special unit that you can only use in a specific KVK storyline or something. That could be cool if you wanted to test something like that where you gave each faction a special unit, right? Okay with that, because it's a temporary test. You're doing it to collect feedback. You're seeing how it's going to work in. Fine. But on this part, I do like this idea of changing it from short range to melee, or close to melee. So yeah, with that in mind, that's it. That's all we got for today on the COD Q&A. I will say this. I very much feel like this is very much one of the better Q&As, because I like that they chose more engaging questions this time around, and what feels to be more impactful questions, especially given there are some hot topic points here where they had addressed some of the anti-cheating stuff. That is something I very much appreciate them talking about. The fact that people have addressed wanting some shorter seasons. This is great. The fact that people had a misunderstanding about the 30-to-1 exchange ratio. This really feels like a very fulfilling Q&A where they really addressed kind of the heart of things a lot more than maybe in some of the previous Q&As. So I like it. You let me know. Which Q&A, which point here was your favorite? Are you looking forward to? Which one are you a little iffy about? And then what are some Q&A questions you would like for them to address in the future? Let me know in the comments down below. That's going to do it for me. As always, until next time, we'll catch you later.